Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you my full foundation routine that's full coverage, and this is going to be using a mixture of drugstore and more high-end products. So yeah, I like to use a variety of products, and I chose today to do this because one side of my face is reasonably kind of clear and then the other side isn't, so that way I can really showcase the full coverage of the products I'm going to be using. Unfortunately, because I'm pale, some of the products I use are a little bit on the pricey end, though you can find variations in the drugstore that might compare. So I'm very pale, I have oily skin, and I have acne prone skin, so this is how I do my foundation routine. Let's get started. First, I use this NYX matte setting spray. I do this because I need to be mattified a little bit since I'm oily. Another tip you can do is blot your skin beforehand, but I don't have any paper blotters for my skin right now, but that's something I like to do, especially for special occasions. Just waiting for that to dry a minute. Next, I'm going to be using this NYX Tea Tree Balance Skin Elixir. It kind of doubles as an elixir and a primer. It kind of feels like a serum going on. I just like using it because it's very soothing to my skin. Another primer I use at times is Benefit Professional. And then just smooth that on through my face. Especially in my problem areas that are really red, I like to smooth this over my skin to soothe them. Okay, so these are the two products I use for more full coverage on my skin. This is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NW15 and the Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation Tattoo in the palest shade number 42. Sometimes you can only find this online because it's very fair, they don't carry it in stores, but I assure you it is one of the palest foundations you can buy. And I like to combine these on the back of my hand, so let's do that. I'm going to do a little partial pump because you don't need that much. And also a little, look at this mess. This looks like a mess. I'm sorry, I'm disgusting. Let's pump this. So half a pump of this, and then I'm going to mix that together with my finger. And I work pretty quickly because this is a somewhat thick consistency and it dries a bit quickly. Not super quickly, but you don't want your product to dry out before you use it and look cakey. So now I just place throughout the face in an even spread, focusing more towards the middle. And this will be my first round of placing some of this down. I'm also going to be taking my under eye concealer and blotting that under my eye. This is the Maybelline Age Rewind Circle Eraser in Fair, I believe, though it could stand to be more pale, to be honest. Now I'm taking my Sigma F80 Kabuki top brush that I raved about, and we're going to start working on this outward on our face. And I just like to drag outward like this, so we get way less coverage on the edge of the face, so we're less likely to have a line. Just drag that down. And this is like as pale as can be, but it does match my neck. It looks like it's not going to match because I'm so red, but once I put it on, it's perfect. Okay, and then if I have open wound acne on my face, I will switch to a different brush, but I don't have any open wound acne today, so I'm not as concerned about contaminating it. I do wash my brushes every time I use them, so I'll just go ahead and use this same brush. And that's the amount of coverage we have so far on my worst area. Okay, so we're not finished, but already we've got a pretty big difference. I'm taking a dab of this and I'm going to work on some of my more extreme areas. You can go and place it with your finger if you want to, but this is just how I build up the full coverage with the softer end of this brush rather than the denser end. And then you can also take a bit of the product and use a blotting motion just to place it, and very carefully soften how you're doing that so you get a more natural airbrush finish. Okay, now this is probably where I would stop even though it's not perfect, just because I don't have time to do more of this before I go to work. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to build up the coverage as much as possible so you guys can see flawless full coverage. So I mixed a little bit more on the back of my hand, and I'm going to be placing that in more trouble areas. and then just blotting in gently. And see how those acne spots are like very gone. And this one, they're almost completely gone. Now, if I had anything to spot conceal, I could take this Precision Round Brush. It's also by Sigma. And I could touch a little bit of that concealer. And I could go into these little problematic spots that just want to fight me. You know, the ones that stick out more. And I'm just very lightly pressing, like hardly even at all. And then softening the edge around it until it blends in. And that's how I get rid of the very worst ones usually. Next, I'm going to be very gently powdering my face, and I'm going to be using the NYX Color Correcting Powder in green. That's because, as you guys know, I have a problem with redness and acne, so I'm going to put that on this fluffy brush by Furless and get going. I'm going to pat this more essentially in the middle areas that are more red and be more light on the outer edges of my face because I don't need as much powder there. I do carry a powder with me throughout the day. I believe it's the NYX blotting powder, and I just use that to touch up and mattify because I'm so oily. There's no avoiding the fact that I am still going to get oily midway through the day, so that is the one I use, is the translucent NYX blotting powder. Alright, so this is what this full coverage pale foundation routine looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so this is my finished foundation routine. As you can see, it's pretty full coverage, it's pretty pale, and I really like it. These are the products I've been using for the last couple months pretty consistently, and I will just say that all in all, that Kat Von D foundation is a really good find for fair-skinned people, and you could combine it with other foundations if you want to change the tone or, you know, the consistencies. So yeah, I know it's a little bit expensive. I think it's around $36, but this has lasted me months and I still have quite a ways to go, and you only need just a little bit of it. So I do recommend it, and I do recommend generally all the other things I used in this video as well too. And if you guys have any questions about this foundation routine in particular, go ahead and leave them below. I will try to answer them for you the best I can, and yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you guys for supporting me and watching my videos, and I will talk to you later. Bye!